Distinguished Senator Siraki Dixon.
Yes.
I watch you on television.
Mr. President, I have
And
a point of order for which you have recognized me.
Listen to me now.
Yes.
Let's not argue. If we argue, it won't be good for any of us. We are all distinguished people. You are a former governor, I'm a former governor.
Order, please.
Distinguished Senator Natasha, please, you are not recognized to speak from there. That is the order of the Senate.
Sir, order 10 on privileges. Order 10 on privileges.
Distinguished Senator Natasha.
Any senator may rise at any time to speak upon a matter of privilege suddenly arising, and he shall be prepared to move without notice. A motion declaring that the content of breach of privilege has been
that allows suspension immediately.
Mr. Speaker, I read through some of these things, and I listened to the leader most appropriately. I don't see anywhere whereby the senators should allow these people to come here and make the kind of interactions they so what.
Try to use the position of the Senate, because the order paper is clear, and we have been doing this. I have no problem having them to come here and explain whatever. We have been doing that, but we follow known procedures.
But that is what that belongs to people.
No, Your Excellency, this is a capital territory of Nigeria, and we are talking of the image of the nation.
Okay, so the image of the nation starts with when you are playing it descending.
Your Excellency,
and then you look at what happens in a place like Akwa Ibom. When you descend, you see water, and you see creeks. So we should eliminate the creeks and close.
No, Your Excellency.
So that it will not spoil your eyes.
Your Excellency,
that is the image of the nation.
Your Excellency, everybody that uses Abuja Airport will agree with me, sir. But the issue is, what do we do?
Let it be on record that I, Senator Mohammed Ali Ndume, I'm not against the appointment of whoever you recommended, but under the current circumstance and the fact that if today you want to interview 100 or even 1,000 qualified people for this position from Rivers, you will get it to choose from. Federal Character, Section 14.3, reflects that. And as he rightly said, we should not, as a Senate, just approve or think that what is being done is not against the Constitution. We are supposed to be guided by more than Constitution. We are supposed to be guided by the conscience. We are the highest decision-making body in this country politically. Please, please, I beg you in the name of God.
Are Nigerians lawmakers still working for the people, or have they become defenders of personal interests and political survival? Under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the 10th National Assembly has entered dangerous territory. Once envisioned as a beacon of oversight and democracy, it now stands accused of silence, excesses, and deep complicity, from billion-naira SUVs and rigged budgets to partisan warfare in Rivers State, and the silencing of rising voices like Senator Natasha Akpoti, Ali Ndume, among others. The truth is murky, but the patterns are clear. In these expos, we peel back the layers. This is not a story about politics. It is a story about power, betrayal, and the slow erosion of Nigerians' democracy. At the start of Tinubu's presidency, some hope that the 10th National Assembly would bring reform, that it will correct the legislative drift of the Buhari years. But barely 2 years in, those hopes have evaporated. What we have witnessed instead is an assembly that rubber stamps presidential request without scrutiny, massive supplementary budgets passed in record time, loan approvers waved the through without debates, policy shifts nodded at without a single clause amended. Under Buhari, we saw at least some resistance, some delay, some pushback. But under Tinubu, the National Assembly appears to fully be captured. When the CBN's forex reforms triggered the currency crash and pushed millions into deeper poverty, the expectation was that the relevant committees would step in, demand accountability, and call for a policy review. But what did the National Assembly do? Nothing. Not a single public hearing. No emergency session. No legislative proposal to stabilize the economy. Instead, lawmakers stayed silent, loyal to party, indifferent to pain. Many now call it the rubber stamp assembly. Others go further, calling it the most compromised legislature in Nigeria's Fourth Republic.
Excuse me, I have the floor. Would you listen to me to the end? Jimo Ibrahim, this is not capital market. Shut up and behave.
I know.
I apologize.
Senator,
I apologize, but behave yourself.
Senator Jimo Ibrahim. Senator Jimo Ibrahim. Even the use of the language, Warada knows that he was about to face punishment. So I'm sure he's going to apologize.
I apologize.
Warada.
I sincerely do.
No, withdraw the language and then apologize.
I said I apologize.
No, I didn't say what you said. I said withdraw.
It is withdrawn, but next time don't interfere that way.
Okay. So
it is
withdrawal and apology hereby accepted.
Okay.
I read through some of these things and I listened to the leader most appropriately. I don't see anywhere whereby the senators should allow these people to come here and make the kind of interactions they so what.
Try to use the position of the Senate because the order paper is clear and we have been doing this. I have no problem having them to come here and explain whatever. We have been doing that, but we follow known procedures.
Clamoring for openness in this arrangement. We want to be open. We want Nigerians to know. We want everybody to know. What's wrong here? We are trying to make everything open, live. Let everybody listen. The chairman of is here. And why are you saying you don't want that to be done?
As Nigerians battle hunger, fuel hikes, and skyrocketing inflation, the National Assembly was shopping for SUVs. Over 100 brand new Toyota Land Cruisers, each costing nearly 160 million naira, were approved and delivered for lawmakers. The total cost, estimated at over 16 billion naira. This wasn't about mobility, it was about entitlement. And what made it worse? The timing. It came at the very moment when civil servants were being owed salaries, when ASU was threatening another strike, when the minimum wage could barely buy a bag of rice. Even worse, not a single senator or house member rejected the vehicles. Not one stood up to say this is wrong. The people are suffering. Instead, they smiled for the cameras and drove off in taxpayer-funded luxury. This is not just a disconnect. It is a normal crisis. The political inferno in Rivers State is not just a local crisis. It is a national alarm. It began after a fallout between Governor Fubara and his predecessor, now FCT Minister Wike. But what started as a disagreement exploded into a constitutional war. Lawmakers loyal to Wike attempted to impeach the sitting governor. Fubara struck back with bulldozers. The Rivers State Assembly complex was demolished. Two factions emerged, two parallel legislatures, one state in political limbo. But here is the real shock. Instead of calling for peace, many federal lawmakers, particularly from the ruling APC, appeared to side with Wike, and then came the intervention, alleged from the federal government, the declaration of a state of emergency, which allowed Tinubu's federal government to take direct control of Rivers State. Was that a democratic intervention or a political hijack? Analysts believe that the aim was simple: clip Fubara's wing before he could fly independently, and in these dangerous games wasn't an umpire, it was a player. The declaration of a state of emergency, one that many lawyers and Nigerians said is against the constitution of the country, the president can declare a state of emergency, but it's not within his rights to suspend an elected office holder, a governor, and the entire legislative house of Rivers State. But the National Assembly went on to approve it. The sole administrator in Rivers State appointed Michael Odey of Cross River State as the Independent National Electoral Commission chairman, which ignited outrage.
And you know that there were some eyebrows raised when he was appointed administrator. Now he has gone to pick a Cross River person again to become chairman of the electoral commission.
Order, please. Minority, 1 second remaining. 1 second.
At the end of the day, if you say it's politics, there is no problem with it because we are all politicians and his policies have brought us here. So what? I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to be talking law here. I'm talking about ethics. And so, Mr. President, what you want to hear is that we are going to take this report. From this eyes, we are going to take...
do well going forward, because I've been to River State almost 40 years ago, and I know the quality of people in River State. I do not see any logical reason why a River man will not chair this electoral commission. That the committee has reported, I'm okay, but let it be on record that I don't see the necessity of having somebody from another state chairing a local election committee of another state.
Let it be on record that I, Senator Mohammed Ali Ndume, I'm not against the appointment of whoever you recommended, but under the current circumstance and the fact that if today you want to interview 100 or even 1,000 qualified people for this position from Rivers, you will get it to choose from. If the argument you are giving me now is that you want to get somebody out of Rivers so that the person that will be in charge of this will be unbiased in any way, that is a different thing. But the people should be carried along.
There is no constitutional inhibition. We are good to go. We are here to uphold the Constitution. In fact, we even swore to uphold the Constitution, and there is any inhibition by way of the constitutional provision, which is the grand norm of the land. As a Nigerian, any Nigerian is free to take up appointment anywhere in Nigeria.
Dear distinguished members of this committee, the case of Rivers is a peculiar situation. It's an emergency rule. I have all the respect for the people of Rivers State. All the 6 other members, the 6 members are from Rivers. But the chairman we are bringing because we need all the neutrality that we can get. Not only someone who will just be neutral, but someone, not only that will be neutral, we want to be seen as being transparently neutral.
Traditionally, RSIEC chairmen are chosen from the state they will serve. It's about understanding local dynamics and ensuring electoral credibility, but this appointment was different. For many Rivers indigents, it was a slap in the face. For Fubara supporters, it was a rigging plot in disguise. Once again, the National Assembly did nothing to stop it. They went further to approve it. After the disagreement from many senators, from Ningi to Ali Ndume, among others, the Senate, led by Senate President Akpabio, went on to approve it. This wasn't just silence, it was complicity. If a federal appointee can run local elections in a hostile state where remains of federalism. Inside the Red Chamber, things are not calm either. Senate President Akpabio is walking a tightrope, consolidating power. Some says he is also silencing dissenting voices and pleasing the presidency, but not everyone is happy. Some senators accuse him of favoring loyalists in committee appointment, rushing through presidential bills and shutting down opposing voices. But there have been whispers of a coup, an attempt to remove him, just like Saraki was attempted to be removed under Buhari. But Akpabio is no stranger to political warfare. He has survived impeachment attempts, bribery allegations, and EFCC probes. Still, the fractures within the National Assembly are widening. Regional blocs are forming. Ethnic and religious undertone are surfacing. What we are witnessing is not just political infighting. It is a struggle for the soul of the Senate. Nowhere is the riot more evident than the budget process. Analysts reviewing the 2024 and 2025 federal budgets discovered duplicated projects, overpriced contracts, empowerment programs with no trace on ground. One federal lawmaker allegedly inserted over 2 billion naira in phantom projects. And how did they pass? Because the committees in charge of oversight are often in on the game. Budget padding has become a legislative business model. For many lawmakers, the budget isn't a plan for national development, it is a heist. While Nigeria burns, the National Assembly fiddles. No bills on food security, no framework for inflation control, no emergency youth empowerment legislation. Instead, it's committee after committee, cars, conference and conflicts. Where are the laws to revive the economy? Where are the reforms to curb corruptions? Why is a nation in crisis being led by lawmakers obsessed with comfort over consequences? The answer is as tragic as it is simple. They no longer feel accountable. Then came a voice of defiance. Senator Natasha Akpoti from Kogi Central dared to speak, and they tried to silence her voice. She accused the Senate president of a lot of things. She challenged gender bias. She stood up for something she calls transparency. And then the response, her speaking time was slashed. She was sidelined in key deliberations and ended up being suspended. But Natasha refused to be cowed. She exposed how female lawmakers are treated as decoration, mere taking representatives in a boys' club. Her fight became a symbol of courage, of transparency, and of urgent need to reform a toxic culture and legislation. She reminded Nigerians that one voice, backed by truth, can challenge a system built on silence. But at the moment, she's still serving a 6-month suspension for breaking the rule of the Senate House, and also in courts against the federal government for accusing the Senate President Akpabio, the Kogi State Governor Ododo, and the former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello of making an attempt to assassinate her. This the federal government is challenging in court.
Senate, your point of order is sustained.
Order, please.
Dismiss Senator Natasha, please. You are not recognized to speak from there. That is the order of the Senate.
Sir, order 10 on privileges. Order 10 on privileges.
Distinguished Senator Natasha.
Any senator may rise at any time to speak upon a matter of privilege suddenly arising, and he shall be prepared to move without notice. A motion declaring that the content of breach of privilege has been
suspension immediately.
You have deliberately silenced my voice and the voice of Kogi Central on this ground. You have denied me to try to contribute to motions. I have not been able to take the second reading of my numerous debates. So, Mr. Senate President, I am not afraid of further silence. But I will not be shocked to the corner. I choose, as the Senator duly elected by my people, I choose to remain on this seat. What you will do, Mr. Senate President, is to suspend me from sitting. And I promise you, the fact that I am suspended does not mean that I will cease to contribute my quota to the development of my people, the women of Nigeria, and Nigerians at large. Mr. Senate President, I have taken a whole lot from you. Some I don't want to speak publicly, but in due course I will tell Nigerians know how you have discriminated against you, how you have maligned me, how you have dehumanized me. Your choice of words is a refuge and in the Senate have nothing more to do fresh to the womankind. And I have voted to the whole law. So, Mr. Senate President, I am not afraid of you. Do what you will, but I will not leave this seat.
So where does that leave us? A National Assembly that rubber stamps budget it hasn't read. A Senate mere concerned about power and progress. Lawmakers who approve lottery XUVs in a land of starvation. A legislature that remains mute as democracy is dismantled in Rivers State. From padded budgets to political witch hunts. from partisan appointments to silence in the face of injustice, it is clear the people's house is no longer the people's voice. But here is the thing, democracy only dies when the people stop watching. Will you stay silent or speak? Will we scroll past or show up? Because accountability isn't a trend, it is a duty. If you found these exposed powerful, informative or necessary, do not let it end here. Like this video, share it with someone who still believes in Nigeria. Drop your thoughts in the comment, your voice really matters. And most importantly, stay informed, stay bold, and keep holding them accountable. Until next time, this is Frank Speaks, telling the stories others want.